What's up, people? I am back. Sorry, I was supposed to do this last night, but I fell asleep. But today, I am reviewing Cabin in the Woods. In my opinion, very underrated movie. Came out back in 2012, and I remember watching this movie for the first time. Sorry about that, my headphones fell. I remember watching this movie for the first time, and came out in 2012. I think I watched it a year later. A friend had showed me, and he said, Trey, this isn't what you expect. I hadn't watched Evil Dead yet, but I had watched like the Friday the 13th movies. So I was like, okay. Because when I saw the title, I was thinking it was going to be like a Friday the 13th clone. Like, oh, is it going to be like some killer at a camp or something? And nope. Nope. It's not what this movie is. When you find out like early on that there's these people who are manipulating everything in the background. So the story is these kids are going to Marty's, who's one of the characters. Uncle, not Marty. Kurt, played by which is Chris Hemsworth. Go to his, I think it's like his family's cabin, to celebrate. And while there, you actually see this secret organization's actually manipulating everything. That's like how the movie starts, where they're getting ready for this ritual, and we find out later what the ritual is. This movie is one of those like you think going in it's gonna be one thing, and then nope, it's not. Like the fact that like I bet it's unfortunate it didn't do well when it came out. I mean, it's two reasons. One, I think it was like a month before Avengers, and people were like, I'd rather see Chris Hemsworth as Thor, which sucks. I actually think this movie beats out Avengers, if you're asking me. But I really, and I think the other reason is people expected this to be, the trailers weren't cut well. If I remember right. Yeah, the trailers were not cut well. People probably expected this to be like Friday the 13th or Evil Dead, which you can tell that there were definitely Evil Dead influences. There's even a scene where they read something and then one of the zombies rise up. The part where Holden, I think Holden is one of the people who work at, and Gary, who work at the organization. I love when they would cut back and forth between like the victims and then the people who are working there, and like there's even a point where they're like betting on who's gonna get them first. I really love that because you actually find out. I'll spoil this part of it. That you find out the reason they're doing this ritual. Basically, it's a ritual like a horror movie where they get like the horror archetypes, the slut, the athlete, the fool, or stone. They don't say stoner character, but essentially that's the fool, and then the virgin. I'm thinking I got all of them all, but and you find out that they have to all be sacrificed, and I really love that the way they take these tropes but explain it like they're actually doing it in story is really awesome. And you get the reveal that this organization has like a bunch of monsters underground. It's this underground facility. I love all that shit. I remember watching that the first time, and when you watch this the first time, you really think it's gonna be one thing, and it's not. I'll just say, get ready, man. When you get to that like third act, in my opinion, it goes bonkers. Once like all the monsters are released, I love all the different types. You have a werewolf. I think there were vampires. There was a giant snake. There was a werewolf. I already said a werewolf. Zombies. I'm thinking there was something else. A merman. There's like a bunch of different monsters. Like I really like. You even have this one monster that almost looked like Pinhead. But yeah, it's crazy how detailed they go. And Marty is like one of my favorite characters. And this is gonna be the title of the video, but coffee mug Bong, bruh. He has a coffee mug Bong. Like, I mean, enough said. But all around, just an awesome movie. For the little role she was in, Sigourney Weaver as the director was great. The way she explains the whole archetypes. They go hard on the violence. And I actually think the characters are actually really well done. Like, I like her as a character. You like him. Same with Jules, even though, yeah, she's like the slut, but she's still likable. You know? You kind of feel bad for them when they die. Dana is a likable lead actress. She's not the best, but she's fine, I think. And then that final act, man, when when Marty and Dana have to survive till the end because they decide not to save humanity and just smoke a joint while everything goes to shit. I love that ending. for obvious reasons. But I just in general love this movie. I definitely recommend it. It's one of those you expect one thing and you're not getting it, and it makes sense because I looked up who directed this. It was Drew Goddard who did Daredevil. He wrote Daredevil. I think he also did like Buffy. He did Angel. He did pretty much a lot of the best TV shows you've seen. He's done them. So, and I think Joss was involved. So it makes sense because the actress who played Fred from Angel's in it. So I'm like, oh, makes sense. But yeah, Drew Goddard, Angel, Buffy, Daredevil. Enough said. So, but I would probably give this movie almost. I almost want to give it a 10, but I'll stay with it like a 9.5. I think it's an awesome film. The way they set things up, it's funny. I mean, I like Chris Hemsworth, but I'm not gonna lie, his death is. I remember watching the first time because he jumps on this motorcycle. You think he's gonna do this like cool trick, and then he fucking just splats on this force field wall. And I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I died when I first watched it. I was like, it's pretty funny. But yeah, awesome movie. I heavily recommend it. It's on HBO Max, so. And it's only like an hour and a half. It's not a long movie. I think it's an hour and 36, because I think it's like 96 minutes. But yeah, it's a pretty fun one. So later, I will be doing, in my opinion, one of the most underrated sci-fi horror movies, Event Horizon. It's been a little bit, but I remember that ending, man, when everyone just dies, everything's going to shit. You have Sam Neill, like his face is all fucked up. I think that's actually going to probably be my the thumbnail. Is that iconic shot of Sam Neill. I'm going to use another picture of this girl getting really fucked up. It's one of those I'm going to use, but Event Horizon is crazy. That ending is one of the greatest endings to a movie. Sad ending too, but yeah. So I'll be reviewing that a little bit later tonight. Tomorrow, on Thursday, we're continuing down the Hellraiser trail with Hellraiser 2. So I can't wait to do that, but yeah, let's get started on a Cabin in the Woods. So the movie opens up. We meet Gary and Holden getting ready for their witch ritual later in the movie. And simultaneously we meet Kurt, Jules, Marty, Dana, and I think a date for Dana. I don't remember his name, but and they're getting ready to go to Kurt's cabin. I love Marty's introduction. You just see a park and he has like his fucking coffee mug bong. Like, these characters are likable. I think that's like a good thing they really did. They got good actors, or decent actors. Enough that, like, I feel like they carry the movie, because it is a good move. Like, you want to, like, if you're going to be following these characters, you do want to make sure they're likable. So then they get to the house. Once they get to the house, they start acting different because the people on in the underground facility rig the house with like drugs and stuff, so they can basically start acting more like how like horror stereotypes. Because when we first meet Kurt, you think he's not this like big. He's an athlete, but he's not this juiced up meathead like you think. Like, he actually learned. He's in like sociology. He's actually pretty smart. Same with like Jules. She's not the slut archetype. It's just once they get to the house, they spray like this pheromone or this drug basically that changes the way you think. And it basically starts giving you more of like more horror tropes, which I really love. I love how they just take horror tropes and just make it an actual plot in the movie. It's awesome. Like, it's like, for me, this is how you should do meta, where it's meta, but it also still feels like it's in story. Side point really quick. Meta now just means we're going to talk about real stuff, but not actually act like it's part of the plot. We're just going to talk about actually what's going on, just randomly in story. Like, I actually like that you can make it meta, but you still keep it with contained in the story. No, they nowadays it's just no, we got to make everything meta. So anyway, but so Kurt. Oh, before that, they start finding like weird stuff around the house, including this book, which you could tell they were. This scene specifically was very inspired by Evil Dead because I think it's Dana who starts reading this, like reciting this book, and zombies come out. Zombie hillbillies specifically. I really love like when they cut back to the facility people. I'm not gonna lie, like yeah, these guys are evil because you're setting up these people to die. But it's also, I'm not gonna lie, they're fucking funny. Like every time they would cut back to them, I couldn't help but laugh. Yeah, they're terrible people, but it's like the fact that they're played by good actors. I think Gary's played by the actor. You might recognize him from Step Brothers. I think he's a dad from Step Brothers. So it's like they got some really good actors. Like, yeah, they're terrible people, but like I can't help but laugh like when they cut back to them. So, and this is where they start like betting on what monster's gonna attack them first. So Kurt, now fully changed into the jock archetype. He's just about sex and just being really drunk. So yeah, and Jules starts acting like a slut. So they get ready they go outside to have sex. And while this happens, one of the zombies attack them. I think Jules ends up getting killed by one of the zombies. Pretty brutal. Like the kills are brutal, man. Like they don't hold back on the kills. While the zombies start attacking the house, seemingly Marty dies, even though he doesn't really. But seemingly he dies. Then Dana and I'm sorry, he's like the one character I don't remember, but the guy she's supposed to be on a date with get into an RV and try to leave, but end up crashing because the guy gets killed pretty brutally. He gets like a hook to he's either to the face or the neck. Oh no, before this is where Kurt tries to get out with his motor. He finds a motorcycle and tries to rig it to escape and do like a trick, but he ends up, this is where he crashes on the force field wall. I'm not gonna lie, that shit was funny. It's still pretty funny. Pretty brutal death. Because this was like early on, this is Chris Hemsworth, like, this is 2012, so this came out the same year as the first Avengers. He's about to be in the first Avengers, and he dies pretty early. So, oh yeah, this is then where they get in the car, and the guy ends up getting killed, so they end up crashing. Dana manages to survive the crash, thinking like they're all happy because they think like, oh, Dana's the last survivor, but it actually they get a call from the director who tells them Marty's still alive. Marty ends up helping Dana, and this is the other thing about this movie. This movie goes, man, like that's the one thing I really like. Remember, I'm cool with slow build, and I like that stuff, but sometimes I am happy when a movie just goes from like the moment it starts. It just goes, and there's no like slow point, no stopping it. It just fucking goes. So don't get me wrong, I'm cool with a movie like that too. So Marty, this is at this point, or no, earlier. There's a scene before he seemingly died where he finds like a camera setup, but he ends up finding basically the elevator where they found where the zombies came from, and this is where they realize that everything's actually being set up and staged. They rigged the elevator to go down, and I wasn't ready when I first watched this, man. Because yeah, this is where you start seeing a couple of the different monsters. You see the werewolf looked fucking great. I'm almost like I would love a werewolf movie with that design. The werewolf looked really fucking good. Then you see the monster that looks like Pinhead, but it's saw blades instead of pins. I wouldn't be surprised if that was supposed to be like Pinhead, but they just did saws instead of pins. Then you see like this ghost monster. And then probably one of the more fucked up ones. You just see this thing that you think is a little girl, but actually it's like just a bunch of teeth in front. So I really love like they like, you could tell, had fun making this movie. And then yeah, when they get down to the main section, Marty and Dana are confronted by soldiers, and they decide to release all the monsters. And my God, yeah, this is like I wasn't ready, man, when I first watched this, and yeah, when they released all the monsters, all the soldiers are dead, and the monsters are all released to start just going crazy. Like, and I love like when they would cut to like some of the video feed, and you would just see like all the different monsters doing things to people. Yeah, like it just the kills they do not hold back. Even the zombies, especially, man. A group of soldiers just comes and you just see like just bodies being chewed on by zombies. There's like almost nothing left, and then the zombies all attack, blood splat. Like they just go hard. Holden ends up getting killed by a merman pretty brutally, and then you see like the blood fly out of its like blowhole, like like a whale. And Dana and Marty end up meeting. This is where they find the director, who's Sigourney Weaver, who, in my opinion, for the very short, she's only in it for basically this portion of the movie, and it's not that long, but for her little short role, I thought she did really fucking great. I really loved her. So she explains what the ritual is, and that they have to sacrifice 5 archetypes to basically prevent the gods from basically invading Earth and destroying it. And she tries to plead with Dana to kill Marty so they can just so she could save the world. Dana initially is about to do it, but then the werewolf attacks her while something else kills the director. Then Marty ends up getting the gun and saving Dana. And Dana apologizes for nearly killing him, and they both decide that Earth is not worth saving. And before, I'm going to go talk about more about this scene. The way they explained horror archetypes and actually made it into an actual plot point in the story is fucking awesome. They did that so brilliantly. Because all that is, like, in the way they set up everything, basically to be like a horror movie. I don't know how they came up with this concept and make it work. This is sad that this movie did not do better, because I really think this one is so good. Like the way they took all these plots and make it work, and it's one thing. It's a classic case. It's one thing you expect and it's not. And yeah, so they decide Earth's not worth saving, and basically smoke a joint and get ready for the end of the world, and then the movie ends. I fucking love it. I think it's such a good movie. The way they take just horror archetypes and horror, just cliches and make it into a plot point. I mean, obviously it's not original. Scream did that too, but it's like the way they did it. Well, because this is a movie you think going in, it's going to be like an Evil Dead / Friday the 13th, right? Thing, and it's not. And then when you find out it's these people manipulating in the background, which I fucking love, and the third, there's definitely a lot of breaking the fourth wall a couple times for sure. But the way they do it in this, and it still feels like it's part of the story though. Like they're for sure breaking, especially in the ending part. The way they explain horror cliches and make up archetypes for the story. I mean, that's definitely breaking the fourth wall, but they do it in a way where it still feels like you're in the movie. It doesn't feel like you're out of the movie. It's not breaking the fourth wall that's done where I'm out of the story now. So you have good characters. You have even the bad guys are great. The little, I think it's like, I would say more 10 minutes she was in it of Sigourney Weaver was great. That's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. That's not my favorite scene in general is probably when all the monsters get released, but in terms of like scene like that, yeah, it's definitely that one. That one, just I love it, the delivery, but also just The fourth wall breaking was done so well. And the moments where they would cut to the facility is great. I love those moments in the movie, to be honest with you. But yeah, like you have like likable characters enough that you kind of feel bad when they do die though. You're not like, oh, they're dead. Who cares? So yeah, I definitely recommend this movie. I think people will enjoy. I mean, plus it is made by the guy who worked on Buffy, on the Netflix Daredevil show, just the Netflix Daredevil show alone. Angel, I think he also did Alias. So he did that show too. I don't think I've ever seen it personally, but from what I hear, it's a really good show. So he's worked on a bunch of good shit. And just in general, this is an awesome movie. I think you'll love it. So, yeah, 9.5 out of 10. Very underrated. I wish it did better, but it just the timing when it came out, the trailers didn't really help either. So, yeah. But later tonight, I will be reviewing Event Horizon, like I mentioned. So I can't wait to do that. Event Horizon is so good. Very fucked up. That movie goes hard, man. The kills, especially the ending kills, kind of hard for me to watch because you do end up really liking Sam Neill's character, and it's just sad to see him go like that. It's a dark fucking ending. So yeah, but Event Horizon is one of those movies that I'm happy exists. So we'll be watching that later tonight. But yeah, watch Cabin in the Woods. It's on HBO Max, like I mentioned. So yeah, but cheers and peace out. But yeah. Talk to y'all a little bit later tonight. Fuck Joe Biden.